Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to FTB Interactions. So, since last episode, I've done a bit of prep, and I have worked on this room a little bit, and got some stuff moved over and set up. One thing I do want to show you really quick is I set this up the other day, and where we used to have the wood pulling out on the brown line right there, I've actually got this wood pulling out on the blue line. Now, it's not currently going anywhere, but basically this is an overflow mechanism, or priority mechanism, I guess. This is priority of 0 on insert. This one here is a priority of 10 on insert, and this one's also wood. This is the one that's feeding into the steam production, and this one is going to be for producing wood gas. So we're going to be working with that today. And we've got a couple other things. We'll see how far we get, and if we have time to start another project after we get our first project done, we'll see. So anyways, today we're going to be continuing on with some of our automation work. I did set up this portable tank, by the way, to store hydrochloric acid, and then of course we can upgrade it when we want more than 20 buckets stored. Now, not every liquid is going to be just have a dedicated system for it, right? Once we start getting into AE2, we'll have certain liquids that are kept in stock but are made by request. A couple liquids like the hydrochloric acid, and then what we're going to be setting up today, which is polyethylene, some stuff like that we use a lot of. We're just going to have that with a dedicated system, right? So that nothing ever takes priority over it, and it always has a spot to go to, and yada yada. And today we will be making some oxygen and hydrogen. This is not going to be our dedicated oxygen and hydrogen lines. So we're going to be setting this up a little bit differently than we will whenever we set up our dedicated lines, right? So just a heads up on that, and then once we set up dedicated lines, we'll get more into that later. But we will have oxygen and hydrogen built up once everything starts backing up and everything, but we'll also be trashing a lot of the hydrogen because we're not going to be using it. So we'll keep some in stock, and then we'll trash whatever's left. We may make changes to that later, though, so just a heads up. But anyways, in this chest, I have prepped up a few things like usual. I made a couple more advanced steam turbines. We've got an advanced chemical reactor, an advanced electrolyzer, advanced distillery, an aqueous accumulator, and an advanced precision laser engraver. We'll see if we get into using all of these today or not. And I guess what we should do is we should start with the steam turbines. Now I'm going to start with 2 of these, and if we find that we need the third one, well, actually, I guess, let's see. Basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making polyethylene, and we're going to be doing the wood gas method. But we need oxygen for starters, which of course is just electrolyzed water. Right, electrolyzed water? Yeah. So, and that's just how we're going to do it. It's very, very simple. But actually, before we do that, I guess the very first thing that we should do is go ahead and get the wood gas production automated. Well, no, because I've actually got so much wood gas over here. We might as well go ahead and empty out this dynamic tank first because we've got a lot of it built up. So yeah, we'll start with that first. And then we'll plug this up at the end. So we'll go ahead and start with the water generation. And what I'm going to do is, let's see. We're going to need 3 machines for this. That's the electrolyzer, the distillery, and the chemical reactor. So let me go ahead and grab all 3 of these, in fact. And we'll just set up the machines, and then we'll set up the power for them and where the water's going to go. And I'm going to go ahead and grab some copper cables as well. We'll go ahead and do that. Boom. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to set this up. I'm thinking on top of this machine here, I do believe. So we're just going to have, and we'll just have these lined up. I don't know if I want them on top or maybe a space above. Maybe a space above, actually. Let me go grab some cobblestone real quick. And I imagine we're eventually going to have more pyrolise ovens. I've got enough space here for another setup. But we might even want more than that. I don't know. We'll just kind of play it by ear. But and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, so to speak. So let's go ahead and pop up here. Let's set up our electrolyzer. The fluid output from this is on this side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to have the distillery setting here. We'll have the chemical reactor setting here. And actually, before I plug that in, let me grab that. And let me go ahead and just right-click that side. And we're going to say on this distillery, we're going to say that you can auto-output your fluids. Chemical reactor setting here. And then electrolyzer is going to set right here. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so that stuff's all in place. And then what we're going to do is, see, let me go grab these conduits over here. And I think first and foremost, let's go ahead and configure the, let's see, the ethylene was ran through the distillery wood gas program circuit 1 to get the ethylene. So we'll just go ahead and do that. And then let me grab these fluid conduits, and yeah, it should be good for right this second. We'll have to pop back over here in a minute. And I think we're going to have to make a couple things, but that's fine. And getting this polyethylene automated is going to help so much, because you've seen already how much polyethylene we've used, over time. And we're about to use even more of it, so I'm getting a little bit of lag. I honestly, the TPS has been pretty good lately. I think the issue, though, is actually, I think I'm going to have to call my internet provider or something, because my download speeds have been really wonky now. For the longest time it was the upload speeds. Well, now it's been download speeds, which isn't as noticeable usually for me, but it's gotten low enough it's been noticeable of late. Because I play a lot of Overwatch in my spare time, and I've noticed it on there, that's for sure. So let's go ahead and this is a lot of wood gas, actually. I'll go ahead and just grab this. And the by the way, the wood gas, let me check something here. This was the ethylene, the wood gas, oops, pyrolise oven. This was configuration 5. Let's make sure our circuit is still, no, I need to set that back. There we go. Okay, so that's all set up pretty much. I just have to basically set up the item conduits that move the stuff over. I do already have this one set up. This basically just pulls out the charcoal and feeds it in to this line, which of course we already have the charcoal being voided. So, but what I want to do is, let's see, the distillery, let's go ahead and put that in there. Let's add in the wood gas. Boom. Okay, and then of course this is going to need some power, so we'll deal with that here in just a second. Let's go ahead and set up our steam turbines. And I'm actually kind of thinking about, well, we might end up setting up, separating out our GPS markers, maybe. Kind of doing like what we did on the other side, because I've already got a steam turbine that feeds into this pyrolise oven, and I'm about to have another 2 steam turbines, possibly 3, to run these machines. So I'm thinking that I may want to set up a dedicated line for that, but we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, of course. Let's go ahead and set that there. Oh. I need to get into, I'm not sure how far down the line it's going to be in this pack. I haven't really looked at it, but I need to look into getting a ritual set up for creative flight at our base. That would be kind of nice, actually. That might be something that we do here soon. I don't know if you know what? No. I'm just going to have a dedicated line, because we're not going to be using that much more steam stuff moving forward. And these things have enough slots in them, and if worse comes to worse, I can always just plug up another one. So I'm just going to have another 2 GPS markers. One there, one there. This was an old one originally. It was for, I don't remember exactly where, but it was for an old setup. And let's go ahead and put that there, that there. And then, of course, it's not going to be, not all these systems are going to be running most of the time anyways. So we should be A-okay. That's filled up. That's filled up. You can see it is eating a little bit of steam here because this is currently running and it's making ethylene. So I'm not sure if we want to store up, that's the only thing is, do we want to store up ethylene? Because we can use it to make carbon and hydrogen. There's a lot easier ways to make both of those. Hydrogen and isoprene, carbon, rubber. Yeah, I don't see us needing that stuff. A lot of recipes for polyethylene, hydrochloric acid, vinyl chloride. Polyvinyl chloride. Yeah, I might. But what I'll do is I'll just have a separate line that can pull that stuff out, maybe. For now, I'm just going to have it pump into here, I do believe. And then if worse comes to worse, if I need it, you know, if it comes up and I need it before I get that set up, then I can just bucket it from here. That would be fine, I think. And I guess for right now, I'm not going to run the Pyrrolase oven right this second. I'm going to here soon, but not right this second. And I guess what I'm going to do is let me grab one of these fluid transfer nodes. We made a bunch of these, and then we got a bunch from Quest. And they've kind of been piling up on us, which isn't a bad thing at all. But we're going to start pulling a lot of this wood gas out of here. And so what I'm going to do is, let's go ahead and break off that. We're not using that anymore. Oh, and I'm going to need a conduit real quick. And this is just a temporary thing. Eventually it's going to pull that that wood gas from the Pyrrolase oven, but for now, what we're going to do is we're going to set up our fluid transfer node there, our pressurized fluid conduit here. We're going to say, you know, you can extract always active. This is going to be filling up with wood gas. And then let's pop over here. Let's set our GPS marker. And we're just going to set it to the distillery for right now. And this is probably going to be one of the last things, I think, that's going to be running on Steam. I mean, there's probably going to be a couple things temporarily running on Steam, but here soon we're going to be moving into a new power source, and we're going to move into Spectre coils here soon as well. But kind of my plan is, you know, we're never going to break this Steam setup down. It works. And it's going to run kind of this side of the base, and then, at least for right now, our ore processing system, honestly, I don't foresee us ever really needing it to be faster. But then again, we'll see. Our ore processing system actually will probably, it'll change whenever we upgrade, which will probably be once we hit like EV or whatever. When we can get the proper pulverizers, is when we'll upgrade all the machines. So it does fine for now, so I'm not complaining about it at all. But okay, so this is running. This is producing just lots and lots, or it will be producing lots and lots of ethylene. So that part's done. And then, like I said, later on, we'll probably send some of that ethylene off. Maybe even have it extracted through this line and handled a little bit differently. But for now, this is fine, because we're mainly after the polyethylene, which is what we need to really start into AE2. And then what we need to do, the electrolyzer, we're going to have to set up an aqueous accumulator to generate some water for this. And so what I'm thinking is our aqueous accumulator, we're just going to have it sitting back here somewhere. And technically I could just put it here. And it would be okay. This is all going to be behind the scenes, so I'm probably going to stick it right there, actually. And we'll just build this out remove that. And this is just so we can kind of keep it nice and compact back behind this. So we'll do that. And then let me fill this up with water real quick. Okay, so there we go. And configuration, it's pumping out the top, which is what we want. And basically all we're going to do is just send it. It's going to come up right there. And it's going to pump directly over. And let me just connect that there. And we're going to say you can extract always active. There we go. Okay, so the electrolyzer is getting water, and then once it fills up, it's going to start running, and it's going to start making us some hydrogen and some oxygen. And so then what we're going to do is, I'm actually going to remove that, change up the side. So it's going to pump out like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull out the liquids, and I'm going to need a couple things here. I'm going to get 2 of these portable tanks. I'm also going to get these ender fluid conduits. Then I'm going to want a fluid trash can, which is just a bucket, cobblestone, and smooth stone. And I've actually got, right here, I've got some iron plates that I made up. And these with configuration 1. Alright, so let's set this to configuration 1. Dump that into there and get that crafting up some buckets for us. Because we're going to need that for a couple things here. And I've got a couple basic portable tanks. We'll upgrade these later. These are basically going to store, they're going to store up hydrogen, oxygen, and polyethylene. So that's what those are going to be for. And then the fluid trash can is basically for overflow hydrogen. Because we don't necessarily, that's not the point of the system, is making hydrogen. I'm still going to stockpile some of the hydrogen, but that's not the point of the system. And then the last thing that we're going to need is we're going to need to make, and this is another reason we wanted the buckets. Let's see. Let's pull up. It's the basic fluid filter. Filters fluids with whitelist options. We need this right here. And then we also need one filter, fluid filter. So let me, well, we'll get that here in just a second. That's going to be for the trash can. But let's pop over here. And we're going to use ender fluid conduits because they can have a priority system. So, which is super handy. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out our fluids right there. And let me go ahead and disconnect all of that. We don't want all that connecting. And we're going to pull these out and go ahead and bring these up like that. And this stuff, it's kind of a mess back here, but this is all going to be plugged up with AE2 here soon. So we're going to put a tank here. And let me go ahead and disconnect that for just a second. And then what we're going to do to empty that for right now is just put a trash can, put down our tank, and then drain the liquids from that. There we go. And we'll put this back. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a fluid filter here, and we're going to say insert priority is going to be, say, 10. And then what we're going to do is, let's set this to fluids real quick. Let's grab a bucket of the hydrogen. And let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to say you can insert, but you're going to have a filter that only accepts hydrogen. And then Go ahead and dump that into there. Okay, so if we take a look here, we have one bucket right now. And we'll set this to extract in just a second, but priority is set to 10. Okay, and then we're going to have another portable tank that's, say, setting right here. And this one, let's go ahead and bring those conduits up again. This one's going to have a filter, and we'll set priority and stuff for that here in just a second. Whoops. Let's grab a thing of oxygen. We're going to say insert, filter, oxygen, and the priority is going to be just 0. It's going to be a lower priority. And then we'll dump that into there. Okay, so now we've got a bucket of oxygen in there. And then we're going to set one more up. I actually need one more filter. I made one to view. And then while we're at it, I should go ahead and make the fluid filter real quick. Alright, so there is that. Alright, let's pop right up here. And what we're going to do is, let's grab one more thing of the oxygen. And we're going to set that right there. I don't want you to do anything. I guess you don't float when you're in the water. It's trying to give me levitate, but it's not working. I don't know if it's because of the water or what. That's kind of neat. We're going to say, I'm going to leave extract as empty for right now. We're going to extract from this, but not right this second. What we're going to do is basic fluid filter here, and we're going to say you can insert, but only oxygen. And we're going to set the priority on this to 10. So it's going to prioritize sending the oxygen here before it sends it to the tank. The tank's just going to be kind of for overflow, and so we have some, stored up there, right? And then the oxygen and the ethylene go in together, and that is how we make the polyethylene, right? Or do I have it backwards? No, I have it right. Ethylene and oxygen. But why is it not running? Oh, because I don't have the program circuit in there. That's why. That's fine. Okay, so that stuff's set up. And then we need one more thing, which is the trash can. We'll do that in a minute, though. I'm not going to do that right this second. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, let me go grab the program circuit real quick. Okay, and this thing needs to be set to 0. So let's do that. And then we'll go ahead and get this thing running. There we go. And then let's go ahead and let's see. I think we've still got some polyethylene left up over here. We do. Let's go ahead and grab that. That's another tank emptied out. And what we'll do is we'll just pop over here, and we're going to set this tank up just on top of these tanks. That way I can just basically run storage. Well, I could run it up, but there's going to be a floor right there. So I'm going to run it right to the side, in fact. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up that there. We're going to say that you don't extract, but you insert on the brown channel. And then right here, we're going to say that you can also extract, but it's going to be on the brown channel, always active. Okay, so we had like 1296, now we have 1584. And all the polyethylene should have been pulled out of there. It has. Great. And then the last thing we need to do is just set up the trash can. And so what we're going to do is let's grab that. Let's set the trash can setting, say, right there. And we're going to say, let me grab a little bit of this hydrogen. because we need to deal with the overflow. We don't want any overflow hydrogen backing up this whole system. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say that you don't extract, but you can insert, and then we're going to set our filter up. Just right click to do that, whitelist hydrogen, and then we'll just put that into there. And this is going to be, it's a priority of 0, whereas the tank is a priority of 10. And that's where the hydrogen goes. Okay, so now we should be all set. We can go ahead and say that you extract always active. Okay, so if we take a look here, this should start, it's pulling out all the hydrogen, and then now it's pulling out the oxygen. The oxygen's going into here. We should still only have, well, we've got 5 buckets of oxygen, but I don't know, it's Ender IO. So sometimes it doesn't read priorities completely correctly, but there's 15 buckets of hydrogen in there, which I think is probably about right. It's no biggie either way. And then we've still got, yeah, we got a little bit in there. It's putting a little bit of oxygen into there. That's fine. Did I set the, yeah, I set the priority to 10. That's fine. It's not a big deal because it's not like it's trashing the oxygen, and that oxygen is going to back up. I just want to make sure that we have some oxygen production that's being stored so that we have access to it, you know. And then later on, I can plug up AE2 into this. Now, eventually, chances are we'll probably have dedicated oxygen and hydrogen production areas for all of our needs. This is basically just so we have a little bit to get us started. But I know oxygen and hydrogen are something that we're probably going to need a lot of as we move forward, so we'll have some more dedicated systems for that. But now we should be producing liquid polyethylene. It's going to keep producing till that's backed up with 20 buckets, and then this backs up with 64 buckets. Maybe, I don't know if it'll do 128 buckets in here or not. I'm not for sure, but anyways, it's gonna back up quite nicely. And then if we take a look in here, this still has wood gas. This is going to have wood gas for a while. It's probably going to back up and still have a bit of wood gas, in truth, if I had to guess. Yeah, probably. And then I guess this tank is totally emptied out now. And so what I can do is I can grab all of that, that, all this ethylene. I'm just going to empty out all this ethylene by hand real quick. There's not a whole lot in there, but there is quite a bit. Well, I'm going to empty out 16 buckets, and then I'm just going to dump the rest because it's basically free at this point, you know, so I'm not too concerned about it. So I'm just going to go ahead and snip off that. Snip off that, that, and that's glue, that's methane, there's hydrogen, 60 buckets. Yeah, let's go ahead and snip off hydrogen. Now, if I'm making fuel or something like that, I mean, 20 buckets is not that much, but like I said, we can easily upgrade those. And that is something that I'm going to get crafted up. Resin. There's that. But I'm going to get some upgrades crafted up because if I recall, we made one before, I think. But they're actually not all that expensive. Just the upgrades. So the hardened is just Invar bronze and some redstone. The reinforced is just electrum silver and then hardened glass. And there's cryothium, signal, and electrum, which is actually, we could move into that. Pyrotheum and derium, that's going to be the most expensive one. But even just hardened here stores a lot. And then the other ones, you know, store even more. So chlorine. Oh, and there's hydrochloric acid that we made, I guess, forever ago. I can go ahead and break that one off. And then once this wood gas empties out a bit more, then I'll break that off. And yeah, I'm going to leave these alone for right now. The chlorine technically could go. I'm going to go ahead and break this off, because we've basically got that being automatically produced. But yeah. Okay, so there's what, 6 tanks down, and we now have automatic. Well, we have oxygen and hydrogen being backed up in here, and we have automatic polyethylene being created, which is great. It's good stuff. And we're waiting on, well, more oxygen right now. This thing is not super fast, as you can tell. If the time comes when we need more polyethylene, which I really don't think, especially if we make a big buffer, you know, it's not something, it's not like fuel that's being consumed constantly. It's just whenever we're crafting. There will come a time when we use a lot of it, but if we just make the buffers bigger, especially being on a server, I really don't think it's going to be too much of an issue for us. So, and then there's, yeah, it's up to 3.1 buckets. So, yay. Okay, and then the last thing I need to do is right here. This is where the items would come in. All I need to do is set an item conduit there and say that you can insert, and you'll be able to extract. I'm going to leave this as never active for right now, and that's because we're getting the wood gas from here. I don't need to run the pie release oven, but as soon as that tank empties out and we don't have any more wood gas, I can just set this to active, and it'll start pulling out, running the pie release oven, and then boom, we've got more wood gas production. And basically any excess wood that comes through our system, which after this backs back up, I mean, it's filling up 64 stacks in a barrel. Once it backs back up, then all the extra wood that cycles through the wood farm can come here. And we're going to be adding some more trees to that here very, very soon. So we'll have other types of wood that can be ran through the pie release oven as well, which will be good. And our polyethylene, 3.5 buckets. And by the way, I want to check something. There's no option here. No, it's pretty much just insert this on the extract. It's because round robin's probably enabled. So we're going to turn off round robin, disable that. That way it's going to feed oxygen into this till it backs up, and then it'll feed oxygen to this. I think that's better. But this will back up, you know, probably between episodes. So, because it's just going to sit here and run like nonstop. So, that'll start to back up. Okay, so that stuff's done, I think. And the reason we wanted the polyethylene is because if we look at Applied Energistics and we look at the, right here, the ME glass cables, we're going to be using a lot of these as time goes on, and you need polyethylene to craft these. So we're also going to have to automate glass here soon, fluid glass, but that's fine. That's not a big deal. Fluix crystal, it's not all that bad. We'll automate this, but not right now. We're going to wait till we actually get into AE2, because this is easy enough to just throw it in the mixer with a bunch of water, and poof, out comes Fluix crystals. So that's no biggie to just handcraft that. But yeah, I think that's, I mean, getting those liquids are the worst thing. Handling items isn't too bad until we get to the, you know, until everything's automated. But the liquids, especially the hydrochloric acid and the polyethylene, there's quite a few steps to them. And having those automated and just being kept in stock is going to help us out a lot here soon. And that's like the wafers. These, they're not fun to craft, but they're actually not too terrible to craft either. So by hand. So for now, we're going to be handcrafting them, and soon enough we'll have them fully automated. So okay, so the next step that we need to do is I've got a precision laser engraver right here, and another advanced steam turbine, and so this should be keeping up on steam, no issues. Yeah, I don't think we've quite reached our steam output limit yet. What we're going to do is, well, I'll tell you what, I don't even know that I'm going to use this right now. Because until I get things fully automated, we will be using this, but maybe not right this second, in fact. We need to turn our attention, because basically what we're working towards, we do have an energy acceptor, so technically we could start a bare bones AE2 system. That's within our mains. And honestly, crafting out this, it's not too bad now that we have polyethylene, and now that we have hydrochloric acid. right? That's why we wanted those. So crafting ME drives, not that bad. But ME controllers, I do want to start working towards one of these, which we're going to have to get into miniaturization fields. These actually aren't terribly expensive to craft out, as you can see. They're not terrible. And then we need Skystone. We need AE2 cables, which we're just going to use the ME glass cables. We need crafting monitors, which are like this. Actually, not that bad. We're going to start getting into this next episode. In fact, we don't have time in this episode, but we're also going to need energy acceptors, which are also cheap. Stellar alloy blocks, which we do have a little bit of stellar alloy, but we don't have a lot of it. But if we start with like one ME controller, that's fine. It's actually not going to be too bad for starting out. And then this also very, very cheap to craft. So these really aren't that bad. The stellar alloy, to craft this stuff out, this is Stardust, Crushed Black Quartz, Fluix Dust, Infinity Dust, Energized Glowstone. There's a bit there, so we are going to start getting into that next episode and making some stellar alloy. I can't remember how much stellar alloy I've got. I've got 14, so I've actually got enough to make, so we may not even have to get into that for starting out. Since we did get some from exploration, but we will have to start crafting that before too long. Which, of course, Skystone, not an issue. I need to put this in a cache. We're going to be doing a lot with sorting here very, very soon. I promise. Because everything's a mess, but it's like every time I go exploring, it just becomes a big mess. So I just get tired of cleaning it up, I guess. And there's so many, like, items that you can't really... Unless I just built a bunch of maybe modular storages, which we might. Well, the only thing is, I don't think the storage components are really that expensive, in truth. Logic processors are actually cheaper than I thought because they actually take rose gold. I was thinking they took regular gold. No, they take rose gold, and this actually is not that bad because it's 4 gold and 1 copper to get 5, which in a way is even cheaper because gold's a little bit more uncommon, I guess, than copper. So it goes a little bit farther that way. So we'll get that cutting up and start working towards getting our lens. Now, another thing we're going to need is a phytogenic insulator. This is also very, very important that we get this. So we're going to need, most of the stuff I've got, structural glass. I did make up some reinforced alloy. We've got MV machine hulls and steel gears. The main thing I don't have right now is double compressed dirt. So I've got 34,000 EMC. That's probably enough. Okay, I discovered that I don't know why I didn't think about it. You have to compress the dirt in the compressor. So, no crafting table. And then I've got the 18 compressed dirt, so I have to make the double compressed dirt now. And then over here, this is done. So then we're just going to run one of these through the lathe, which we'll need these other Skystone plates later. So, there we go. Skystone lens and a small pile of Skystone dust. Okay, so that's the lens that we need for the circuits. And I'm just going to put this into the precision laser engraver for right now. And then this is done. There's our double compressed dirt. And there is our phytogenic insulator. Awesome. And the reason that we need this is basically if we take a look at our circuits, it's really just for one of them, but there's some other things that we're going to need it for in the coming days. So for the circuits, we need diamond plates, which of course we've covered those before. We need the rose gold plates, which we talked about. Then we also need the printed calculation circuits, which is pure certus quartz. That's the only thing that you can use for this. Pure certus quartz, taking certus quartz seeds and glowstone through the phytogenic insulator with 3,000 millibuckets of water to get your pure certus quartz, and that is just sand and certus quartz dust. So I wanted to go ahead and get this thing made, and for right now, just because we're going to put it here, pretty soon, like I said, we'll start getting into spectra coils, and we're going to be doing some power upgrade stuff. And whenever we do, this will get moved to a proper place. But for right now, it's going to have to go here, which is fine. Which is fine. We're not using enough RF to really, to the point that spectra coils are a super high necessity kind of thing. What I'm thinking is we'll try to get as far as we can into AE2 before needing the spectra coils, and that way we can automate some machines and get into our new power systems. So, because I do want to get into that around the same time that we do spectra coils, because that's when we're going to kind of overhaul a lot of the power. That's also around the time that this room will be gone, and these machines will start getting spread out. Well, I don't know, because we'll probably keep the workshop, but then again, we might use these machines for automating and then automate and have workshop better machines for the workshop. We'll see. Yeah, so let's see. Do I have any certus quartz dust made? Of course, I'm not going to be able to check it very easily. I don't think that I do, actually. I think it's all... Yeah, I don't think I've actually ran any. So what I can do, though, if we pull up certus, and let's go ahead and grab, say, 24. And apparently I got a couple tasks completed from that. And let's toss this into the macerator. Go ahead and get that breaking down into dust. And then what I want to do is, let's grab this blood tank real quick. I'm going to put it right here so it can start filling up with some water. And what we need to do, I'm going to go ahead and make a little bit of that pure certus, just so we've got it for next episode. Oh yeah, this is going to have to go through the whole processing line. I don't know why I'm running it through here. What I'm really going to have to do is just basically put a cache up. Let me go ahead and run some, and I can see what all is going to come from this. Standard stuff. There's quartzite, which I think might already be processed. If not, I can add that. And then barite, which I know is not in there. So, okay. So I'm going to have to make a few caches for that. That's kind of what I was looking at, was what do we need to take care of for next episode. So we'll be able to get our certus and then mix that and then put water through it, and there we go. We'll be able to get our pure certus. So that way we'll have all three of our circuits being handled. Also the silicon, this is just wafers. Which, if I had the HV laser engraver, we could do 2 at a time, but I don't want to make that right now. Alright, so let me just grab some wafers. I'm going to go ahead and do 58. That'll be fine. We'll go ahead and dump that in there, and that way it starts making our printed silicon for us. So we'll have that built up already at least. And then... yeah, and then we can turn this in, assembler, a little bit of that hydrochloric acid to get our processors. So that should be good. But yeah, I think we're in a pretty good position for next episode. I think we've got everything. Everything's there that we're going to need, basically. I've got to get some caches set up and stuff. That's not a biggie. Like I said. That's no problem. There's some certus quartz dust. Let's go ahead and grab that. And I'll show you. We'll make our first bits of pure certus. Get our first bits of pure certus going. So, and I'll probably have to... I might go get some glowstone as well. That wouldn't hurt. Go ahead and dump that into there. And let's remove that lock. Well... Oh wait, I have to mix it with the sand first. Whoops. I need to get the seed first. Okay, so sand, certus quartz dust. It's about like making certus quartz seeds normally. And then it's going to double. And so we'll need 8 glowstone for that. That's fine. But this is going to make us 8 of it. It's actually probably going to be good for what we're going to be doing next episode, but we'll see. I tend to go by the rule of you should always make extra in this pack because you're going to end up needing it. And you'll probably run out otherwise. So, but anyways, there we go. We got that running. Later on, we will automate that. But once again, it's one of those by hand sort of things that you might as well just do it by hand until we really get automation going. I am noticing that power is draining faster than it's filling it because we're running this through an LV CEU, so we might want to upgrade those before too long. But once we do our power overhaul stuff and start getting inspector coils, it's going to be a little bit more powerful. So what I'll probably do is just pull out like a few of these, which is fine because I'm going to have to add water and stuff like that anyways. So but yeah, so I'm going to end out this episode here, I do believe. We've got everything. It might be a little bit short again, but that's okay. Next episode, we are going to start in AE2. We'll see, because I'll probably move into that pretty quick. There's not a whole lot of stuff as far as machines and stuff that we need to get prepped. It's basically going to be working through AE2 kind of on camera. And we'll start into that. We'll get what we can done. We'll see how far we can get before we start running into rabbit holes, and then you know, we'll go from there. But I think the two biggest things are those liquids, and they're automated. They're good to go. We'll be good on circuits. We'll be able to make glass fiber cables, no problem. One thing we will probably need to automate pretty quick is glass and liquid glass. Not too difficult, so we'll probably move into that before too long. But yeah, so anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys then.